KEEL app is a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. Greg Adams is here for a little bit. You can hear Greg weekday afternoons 5 till 6 on KEEL. Okay, so it's sort of the question that it was sort of an offshoot, a growth, if you will, from the conversation we had in the 7 o'clock hour. I guess crew of Gemini, they have a meeting when? Tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
And they're going to sort of make a plan.
I assume they're going to do that.
And it started with what I had said to Aaron was, I said, okay, so let's say they give it the thumb up, the go-ahead for late Feb, early March. I don't know when Mardi Gras is this year, or at least Ash Wednesday or Fat Tuesday. The point being is, would you go? Given the current conditions, would you go? And she said, current conditions? Well, what if there's a vaccine? And I said, let's examine that. She says, what do you mean? I said, well, you read a lot. The latest was we could have a vaccine as early as October. I started thinking about that, and you and I have discussed this a little bit, and I said, well, we've got a flu vaccine, but there's a lot of people say it's not really a vaccine. It's more like a flu shot.
Yeah.
What if it's a coronavirus shot and not a vaccine? And what I mean by that is with a flu vaccine, we still have about, 30 to 40,000 seasonal flu deaths in America every year. What if with a coronavirus vaccine, coronavirus shot, we still had 30 to 40,000 coronavirus deaths every year? What do you think would be the governmental reaction to that? Well, we've got a vaccine. It's all better now.
Well, okay. There's a lot to unpack there. I have three things, and I'll try to keep each one of them short. First, the governmental response to when we get a vaccine will be based on what time that is. If it's October, then everything needs to be locked down, and we still can't do anything, and Joe Biden needs to be in the bunker. If it shows up in December, then inoculate everybody, we're good to go, let's open things back up. That would be the governmental response.
So your sense is, your sense is that so much of this is, in fact, political in nature.
Yes, yeah. The reaction to it is political. The virus itself isn't political. Viruses don't know anything about politics, but the way that you can weaponize a world event is what we're seeing play out, at least in our country. We ask questions about why these other countries have been able to handle this quickly and get out of the woods and are opening things back up. Well, most of them don't have a presidential election hinging on it. The second part of that is what we should be doing when a vaccine is available. The minute that the FDA approves a vaccine and a vaccine is readily available, everything should be open and risk management should take over. That's how we all live our lives. You can die doing anything, but we all manage our own risks. I think Aaron had said something about that earlier this morning about, I take care of myself, you take care of you. Mm-hmm. We manage our own risks.
Yes.
And there are some parts where what I do will influence your safety. And so at those points, yes, that's when we come together for a collective responsibility on one another. Mm-hmm. And there is some level of that in a pandemic. But when you ultimately inside a pandemic have the ability to say, well, I'm just not leaving my house, and we've created a structure in which you can do that, the people who do leave their house are managing their risk, and they should be left to their own devices. The third part about this has more to do with the vaccine itself. The vaccine that they're working on at Oxford University, and some of the other ones that are similar to it, are not going to be the same as an influenza vaccine. So the idea that this is going to be a have-to-do-it annual thing is likely not going to be the case because of the model that they are putting this vaccine together through pre-programmed T cells. They are going to create a vaccine, at least through Oxford. And again, this is coming from a guy who was, there's no way we're ever going to have a vaccine. Never believed it would happen. Now I'm reading their research, and they could actually develop a vaccine that will not be just COVID-19. It is a coronavirus vaccine, to the point where any coronaviruses, anybody who's been inoculated, will never get a coronavirus again.
How do we know that?
One shot, and you never have to come back. Okay.
That's nice in theory, but do we really know in a year or 2 or 5 what kind of mutation of... Look, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here.
So mutations with coronaviruses generally only go in one direction. Mutations with coronaviruses are not similar to influenza. Coronavirus mutations like SARS-CoV-1 that we dealt with years ago, regress through mutation.
I was going to say, do they become less serious?
Yes. So every time it passes through someone and gets that little RNA signature, it becomes less and less and less and less. So the advantage to a coronavirus vaccine that would last your entire life is actually the next time that there's some kind of bat soup, pig belly, China-born virus, if it is a coronavirus again, we will be protected from it. And I can kind of quickly go into why that happens. So the pre-programmed T cells are the library part of your immune system. They can be pre-programmed right now with what to do when a coronavirus is in your system. And that's what they are going to be injecting into people. But they can't just put the T cells in. So they have to have a carrier for it. So what they're doing is they're taking a common cold virus, and they're using that as a Trojan horse for these T cells. So it goes into your body recognizes, hey, there's a virus in here, oh, but it's not hurting us, but what's going on? Plug into it, they pull out the T cell data. So then next time that a coronavirus comes in and your antibodies go to attack it, they go, oh, guys, we know how to handle this. We've got this library work. So they start to attack the coronavirus based on the way that they've been told to. And that works not just for SARS-CoV-2, that works for any COVID coronavirus moving forward.
Do you get this vaccine when
Me?
it's first out? Yeah.
Me? No. Now, no. So here's the thing.
Why?
So for me,
Untested?
no. I have no problems with that at all.
Are you a complete anti-vaxxer?
No. In fact, right now, I have been making the case, and there have been a lot of other doctors, epidemiologists at Harvard, who are asking about the ethics of waiting for a random third trial. Why do we do 3 trials? Why don't we do 5? Why don't we only do 2? If you have an Oxford vaccine that is both safe and effective through tens of thousands of doses so far, what is the ethical responsibility to start giving that to people now? Why are we going through a third trial? For me personally, I don't get vaccines. I grew up in, that weird 80s, 90s era where we just got things and got better. And the more that we got, the more protected we were. And so I'm kind of in that sense. But at the same time, I have no issue with anybody who wants to go get it. I encourage people to go get it if they want it. Do I think that there should be any level of government enforcement on anyone over the age of 18 getting it?
Mandates?
No, not at all. No mandates for anyone over 18. However, we already have...
what about mandates to go to school?
That's the thing. So we do already have a structure in place that mandates certain vaccines for kids to go to school. I do not have a problem with this one being added to that mix, especially if it is a lifetime coronavirus type thing. That in a generation or two, we will not have to worry about coronaviruses. But I don't think that this is kind of where the balance of
freedom versus governmental authority.
Right. And so I think that we can strike a fair balance, which is what our country is supposed to be designed on anyway. We're not supposed to be authoritarian. We're not supposed to be socialist. We're supposed to be somewhere in the middle, a nice DNA mix of the two. So if you say, as an adult, you have the freedom to choose whether or not to do this. However, we do have the ability to say if you want to go to schools that we fund, you have to get this vaccine. And I think that's a pretty fair and allowable...
Not an outrageous demand.
No, and I don't even think it's really a demand. It's just kind of like a common sense thing where we've got a vaccine. We know that this can disrupt our entire society. So let's find a way to make sure that never happens again.